right, good morning, everybody. It's a very hard act to follow, but I would like to thank Nicholas and Mr. Proper Q. That was very insightful and great to be able to listen to and hear the insights, especially after last week. It's great to be here today with everybody after a strong Capital Link, at another strong Capital Link event. This is my first Capital Link event here in Shanghai, and I'm glad to add it to a list of locations that I've had the pleasure of attending in the past. So with that, I'd just like to welcome you to our panel. Our panel today is Driving Operational Excellence, Optimizing Ship Performance. And hopefully we can talk a little bit about what Mr. Proper Q mentioned, which is doing the doable. We have a great panel here with you today with some diverse global perspectives. In today's maritime environment of tight margins, regulatory pressure, geopolitical challenges, and data overload, operational excellence is a real differentiator. Joining me are three leaders who really live it every day. First, Mr. Arnd Becker, Managing Director of Bernd Becker Shipmanagement, based in York, Germany. And then Mr. Bernard Liew, Managing Director of Columbia Shipmanagement here in Shanghai. Welcome. And then Mr. Xiao, Managing Partner at Equator Fund. Welcome, Mr. Xiao. Getting right into it, let's explore what truly drives performance from vessels, data to crews and capital. Starting with Mr. Arnd Becker, you and your company run a strong fleet, a feeder fleet. What specific operational KPIs have you given you the biggest efficiency gains recently? And how are you balancing traditional seamanship, vessel operations with digital analytics? Bernard?
Well, thank you first of all, for inviting me for that panel. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a good question, how much time you brought along, which KPIs should I focus on today. There's a large variety, actually, to be monitored nowadays in the shipping industry. But I will focus presently on two major KPIs. One is for sure the fuel efficiency of the vessels. So to monitor that daily, on a daily basis, is of highest priority to us, because our benefit is mainly in saving fuel. Every liter fuel not burned is a penny earned on the other end. And the other topic or KPI is the capacity utilization. We operate the fleet of feeder vessels for container and MPVs. So we have a focus on our utilization in regards to TEU versus the maximum intake to the vessel. And on the other side, for the MPVs, the utilization in regards to volume or even dead weight. Putting that into day-to-day business, coming to the second part of the question, is a really difficult task. You know, in former times, the ultimate intelligence on board of the vessel was the master. He had the feeling for his vessel. He knew how to load, how to operate, and how to avoid situations where he's actually burning fuel which was not necessary. Nowadays, we have big opportunities by using artificial intelligence. And we're trying now in our company to put both things together, to using the knowledge from the past and the existing knowledge on board, and implementing powerful artificial intelligence tools to improve the performance of the vessel day by day.
Thank you, Arnd. I think that's really one of the tricks that I see today in most organizations, is to balance that old and new and how to take advantage of both. With that, we'll go to Bernard Liew. Bernard, Columbia Shipmanagement Shanghai has or is positioning itself at the heart of China's maritime innovation. Knowing CSM and their strong support of developing technologies, which technologies or process innovations are actually delivering measurable benefits for your managed fleets?
Thank you, Ezekiel. for your question and moderation of our panel. Please let me start by first acknowledging our fabulous Capital Link organizers and audience. Thank you for having us today. In a nutshell, Columbia Ship Management, as responsible managers and operators, commits us to the safe management of our vessels and crew while we protect the interests of the environment and ship owners. Initially, in my context, I would have framed my technologies and innovations and the answer here around two C's, crew and carbon, which I still will, but I would like to add on to what Josh has just mentioned, the doable and the desirable. So let's go on. Crew is at the core of our entire operations. Their optimum safety, well-being, and competency ensures likewise for the vessels which they care for. We have adopted One Care Group's suite of solutions on board our assets, providing various safety and risk assessment solutions through Well at Sea, AI-powered health management through a river, and first-class training for our crew by One Learn, and that is doable. This has led to visible improvements in crew retention rates, which stands above 90%, and reduced incident records by over 10% year on year. Carbon, which is desirable, relates to fuel efficiency and alternate fuels. The doable part, our Performance Optimization Control Room, POCR system, supports a 24/7 remote monitoring and management team that designs the most efficient and safest voyage. We've recently enhanced features in Emission Link and Engine Link to help ship owners reduce emissions and carbon credit associated cost. And that is the present that we have to engage. Meanwhile, on the desirable, we are participating in cutting-edge projects such as NH3 craft, exploring ammonia as marine fuel, and Blue Barge, which develops offshore power solutions for moored vessels. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernard. Over to Stephen. Stephen, with your specific investor perspective, you may look at performance through the lens of potential or actual returns. What operating data, KPIs do you look at that help you determine the outperformers from the underperformers? And how do you factor that into your overall strategy and approach?
Well, thank you. Sorry for my sexy voice because I catch a cold. So don't worry, it's not flu. No, Bernd. And thank you for Capital Link for invitation to be, for me to be honored to be here again after Hong Kong, Capital Link last year. So for this question, I would like to position, tell you the position of shipping fund. Equator fund actually is a shipping fund. So we have industrial, mandatory from Shenzhen city government. So also we want to be, responsible for our, limited partnership. So if we will operational, we are not very much involved in operational, management, because we are shipping fund. Basically, we are ship manager. So our paramount, how to say, is to choose the right party. So of course we're looking to track records, ongoing monitoring the performance, But please bear in mind, as a shipping fund manager, we are actually the last one to be informed of the operational, efficiency or deficiency, any disasters, whatever. We are the last one to be informed. So we need to be very careful about the selection of the partners. But having said so, if we look into the real operational, we will just analyze, certain, merits, and we are coming to our picture. Number one, I think TCE. TCE is very important for us to calculate of cash flow in the future. And also the utilization of the vessel, especially when we have this, international, deglobalization, or we have this non-barrier, sanctions now, Of course, we all know who actually is doing this, So we have a lot of problem with the off-hire issue now. It's going to be intensifying. Recently, we have one vessel actually calling upon Australian ports, and suddenly we lost about 4 to 5 days of hire, something. So that will be tremendously, impact over, in return. So with intensifying this global, political situation, we need to be careful of politicization policy. Also, in tandem with that, we know that the port state control also become critical, more and more critical for us, right? So, of course, if we look into the management, efficiency, we also look into the managers, how to say, how they deal with balance between spot market and contract market. The shipping market become more and more volatile, So how the manager could balance, maximize his return, with spot contract, in his when the market is up, in upside on the upside one. Also they have secure certain cash flow, with contract, long-term contract, at a lower market side. So basically, that will be our, basic matrix we were looking into, So strategy speaking, we're looking to the reliable and long-term partners as a shipping farm manager. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephen. And thank you, panel, for the first round of questions. Just to kind of summarize that a little bit. Stephen, you're looking for reliable long-term partners. This is key to you. Bernard, you think training is a pillar to the crew, and that development of training and adoption of new technologies is key. And Arnd, I got a balance of fuel efficiencies and then the ability to take the old and blend it with the new. Is that about where we're headed on this?
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
Any other comments on that you'd like to say? All right, great, thank you. So moving away from the individual questions, I'd like to address some different themes with the panel here today. And by that, I'll bring out one kind of topic, and I'll allow each of you to take a moment to give some insight on the same. So the first, of course, is one that we talk about all the time, almost as much as we do fuel, is digital optimization and data. And my question for this theme to the panel is what is the minimum data needed for, let's say, a small to medium fleet to see real ROI within 6 months? And how are you turning or developing your noon reports data into actionable performance and improvement? And Stephen, I know this question may be not really for you, but we'll let the other two handle it. Bernard, I think maybe you'd be the best one to start. Yeah.
Maybe I should first start off by saying that I have a degree in IT. That was my first degree. But I've lost it in a way. So firstly, I think I agree that data management is a cornerstone of digital optimization, leading to accurate diagnostics and follow-through implementations, and that is what we need to focus on. So in Colombia, we are focused on the coherent integration of people, process, and technology. We partner closely with our customers and partners, incorporating design thinking into our software solutions for user-friendliness and ensuring data accuracy at source, taking the opportunity to redesign processes based on future operational states and including both robust housekeeping and cybersecurity measures for our systems. And then to answer your question specifically, data analytics is typically centered on pattern recognition, which is more time-centric than volume-centric. Think of a river that's flowing. You can have a reservoir of data that's 20 years old, full of a pond, big volume, but it is not representative of and predictable for the future. So time is more of the concern here. We learn from the past for the future, and typically data sets will require 2 to 3 years of information, regardless of fleet size, to project sufficient scenarios for analytics. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernd. Over to you, Arnd.
Yeah, I give you now the insights from a seafarer's point of view. Actually, I started my career as a seafarer, and I know, I come first to the second part of your question, noon-to-noon reporting. I know how seafarers made up noon reports in the past. So either you will get an average of the last 24 hours, or you get a spot view at really 12 o'clock noon time, which gives you any bit of benefit at all. What we are working nowadays in the company is actually the digital integration to move away a little bit from the noon reporting and make the average by artificial intelligence and database. So we take the sensors nowadays and bring all the data available from the vessel into a data center and making an average of the last 24 hours. The only thing what is presently missing in the data is the weather data and the actual tidal and current systems, where we still need the assistance of the crew. But I hope in the future there will be an integration of that natural data from data centers ashore. So what data which I would actually need a minimum required is standard data which you all get from your vessels. It's the non-changeable displacement of the vessel, draft and trim, and when it comes from the topics which we should monitor frequently is speed, distance, made good, consumption, shaft power, and that's mainly it. And putting that into relation would give us the real information which we need. And what we actually need is self-learning systems to give the masters and the crews on board advice how to operate their vessels more efficiently. Thank you.
Thanks, Arnd. I think, well, before I say anything, Stephen, is there any comment that you'd like to make on this topic or anything you'd like to say?
Really, no. Actually, of course, I graduated from a maritime background, but I just spent 7 days, on board as an orientation program. So I don't have much to say. But if you look into the trend, we need to know, digitalization as well as decarbonization is on the way. So a lot of new technology will be applied, to the vessels. So the training, I agree with, Arnold. The training improve the efficiency of the crewing. To master this kind of new technology will be critical. Also, we also be fully aware of the economies of the new energy, new fuel, used in the new vessels. Whether this is freight can be compensated, we don't know. Although you invest bigger, than the traditional vessels. So a lot of also it's not that easy for to have some green methanol or something, especially the supply. How to secure the supply, will be also critical issue because we are looking into this issue as well. Although a lot of ports want to be the hub to develop this kind of supply bunker, new energy bunker, hub, but how to secure the bunker supply will be a critical issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Just to kind of sum up that theme or that topic, I think one of my big takeaways is what Arnd said, and this is, he didn't really mention any groundbreaking or different than what we've always been looking at in shipping. But I think the key that we see today, and maybe this ties in Bernard's background, is how quickly you can evaluate and use that information, and how you can make that data that you get more accurate. Yeah? Any comments or final thoughts on this theme? No. All right. So the second theme that I'd like to address the panel with is more on people and process, right? Operational excellence often comes down to the behavior or the ability to drive change on board the vessels. What's one crew training or incentive practice that has worked well for you and your companies? Again, Stephen, maybe not your area, but
unfortunately,
I'm sure you
are
have
right.
some feedback. Arnd, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, we are living nowadays in an environment where you can't stop learning. So our day-to-day business is learning each day new things. And the same applies to the crew, either to make your ship operation more efficient, more safe, and more reliable for all the partners in the industry. So we are investing heavily, not only when the crew is on board, to give them proper training and give them also the possibility to use their free time as training time. In addition, we need to train our crews also when they are ashore on vacation and give them, when they return, a real benefit for their work.
Thank you, Arnd. Bernard?
Thank you. I would like to share my personal experience here. And earlier on I mentioned there were 2 C's, crew and carbon. This is where the 3rd C comes along, and that's culture. Joining Columbia since a year ago, I'm truly amazed by the safety culture and open reporting system that we have cultivated over the decades. Near misses reports are very commonly sent and shared for the purpose of cross-learning and to prevent more serious incidents from occurring. More importantly, it drives the culture of transparency and trust that there's no retaliation for highlighting issues on board the vessel. I'm amazed by the way Colombia has managed to persistently encourage this openness and genuine respect for both sea and shore staff to share their thoughts, and it permeates throughout. Adding to this, these near misses are immortalized into small courses that we call or name Lessons to be Learned, which we host onto our in-house platform, powered by OneLearn, so that the future crew gets to learn from the past near misses too. And that, to me, is more important than the training or any incentive that can be provided on board the vessel, because the culture creates trust, and trust brings us forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Bernard. Stephen, as always, I'm going to give you the opportunity if there's anything you want to touch on this or not.
Well, the seafarer, I think, to be a seafarer is not easy, and used to be regarded as kind of job, high salary job, for many families, especially in developing countries. So on my 7 days on board, I met a lot of Indian, Filipino, seafarers, and they stay there on 8 months per year before they can go back home. So actually, it's kind of a torture, for a lot of onshore, operators, managers like me. So ongoing, is because it's not easy, and ongoing, you can see a lot of new technology to be applied to the ships, especially, as you can see a lot of innovations. You can see especially coastal and river. See a lot of AI, and new tech, data, digitalization. You can see fewer and fewer, less and less seafarers actually on board. So it's a real challenge, employment challenge to them. So to be a seafarer in the future, I think this is needs certain self-awareness. What we call in Chinese is Singhai. It's not a job, but awareness to be a seafarer in the future. You need to know high tech. You need to know how to master them. Also, you don't how to say, AI is everywhere. So I would say, if you don't have, if you still rely on external or corporate incentives to be a seafarer, better don't do it in the future, because you are going to be be out of employment market. So it will be self-driven. Self-awareness become very important for seafarers in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. I think it's a great topic. The challenge of being a seafarer today is it's changed and continue to changing. Yeah. I think, Bernard, you hit a very great point. I mean, culture drives so many things here, and it is key. I think, and Arnd, of course, continuous learning, right? This is what we have to do today. I think all of us here can honestly say we continue to learn about what we're doing with the ships almost every day. And the ability for us sitting here to transform that information, transfer that information to the seafarers today is a real industry challenge that I think is a focus of many companies. Thank you. Moving over to my third theme to approach the panel with today, I call it the China Edge. I recently relocated from London to Shanghai in April, and I came back here to just energy and momentum. Not that you don't have that in London, but I think you have more of that here in Shanghai. So Shanghai, China, and the Chinese shipyards are obviously central to shipping, building, repair, and almost everything in between. What drives China's uniquely capable ability of enabling operational excellence today? And I'm not sure who would like to start with that one, but maybe Bernard, would you start with that one? Yeah.
Okay, sure. I think I've gained a lot as well, including a lot more white hair coming over to China. Well, this is my opinion and does not represent the views of Colombia. I've worked in Latin Americas, traveled extensively through Asia, Europe, and Americas. In my opinion, the secret sauce to China's operational success would be the population's resilience and dedication to perfection. I've been most privileged to have worked alongside the brightest and most hardworking cohort of colleagues, customers, and partners in my time in China. Their attention to the most minute of details to safety and to ensure success is amazing. If I may end my answer with an example that probably touches all of us here, is the airport and train systems. The volume of travelers here is huge, but yet the flow is so smooth and the officers on duty are respectful and professional. Technology might have helped, but it's the pool of talents designing the flow, training the frontline officers that makes the difference today, and I'm sure for the future. Because of the amazing talent that China has trained up and will continue doing so, China will continue to be a great environment for business and operations.
Thank you, Bernd. Great insights. Stephen, I think I'll hand it over to you next, if that's okay.
Well, yeah, as a Chinese, yeah. Actually, I was born and raised in China, so of course it's overseas experience, but actually I have roots here. So talking about operational excellency, maybe from my point of view, I think it's the fundamental or paramount. It's culture. I think culture is actually paramount, intrinsic, genetic, effect on this kind of operational or manager, whatever, excellency in China. So what's a Chinese culture, I think? Because it affects everybody. To my understanding, our Chinese culture is more like, inclusiveness, harmony, driven, also self-reflection. So this is long dipped into the, what we call the combination of the theoretical, system of Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism. So I don't have much time to go on to go over this kind of, culture things. But basically, if we look at inclusiveness, that will create lots of what we call absorption of different kind of, civilizations, also the technologies, all things, put into this one system. If you look at harmony, also harmony means actually, if you look at operational or the manufacturing, you can see this will cause lots of integration, into one system of different parts into one system. That will be basically for the manufacturing, mentality, which Chinese are very good at that. So self-reflection, that means, after a certain period of time, the Chinese people will always be, have this kind of deep self-reflection, see what actually need to be improved, what actually need to be evolved, or even revolutionized, whatever, so to improve itself. So I think the culture actually is a fundamental thing in Chinese. It's deeply, affect everybody, every worker, every manager here. Secondly, if we look at that, we need to be very thankful to the policy. I think the government, a strong leadership government, make everything available to integrate the whole societal factors into one system. So good leadership from government, also plus certain subsidize whatever. Maybe I should not put subsidy. It's a kind of incubating policy, always continuously from the government, not just for central government, but also on provincial, local and provincial, city, and even some, if you go to some villages, So after now the digitalization, a lot of the policy could be go all the way from the top down, to the every level of the country. So operational excellency, also is based on a lot of physical, factual, database. So we can see lots of industrialization after 30, 40 years industrialization, urbanization, technology development. So we have formed the largest so far in human history, the industrial ecosystem in China. So we used to use a supply chain. Actually, now we prefer to use ecosystem. You can see every kind of supplies, spare and parts, engines, pipes, whatever you want from China. It's not just delivered in time. Actually, it's delivered in need. Whenever you need it, you can find it. A lowest cost, a highest efficiency. So this is kind of industrialization forms, industry clusters, make every manufacturing easier, much easier than anywhere in corner in the world. So of course, the talent pool is very important, right? So you have lots of the largest, training workforces. We actually have 6 to 7 million, new engineering school students, graduates every year in China. So this is a tremendous. Actually, it's the top of the combined of the entire world. So you easily find the talent, any talent you need in China. So of course we still welcome. So because as you say, the culture behind, we still welcome lots of international, talents to come to China. So we also are loosening a lot of visas, to this kind of workforce talents to come to China to join us. That is deeply into the inclusiveness of the culture, as I mentioned in the very beginning. So all these kind of things, combined, I think that's why we have current, we can say excellent, in operation and management, specifically in shipping industry. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephen. And last but not least, Arnd.
Yeah, well, Ezekiel, I'm coming now to China for the last 25 years, and I monitored the development here quite closely. China developed from a workbench provider to a full system integrator and developer. And that's something where the Chinese people should be very proud of. 20 years ago, shipyards was just taking the ideas from foreigners and putting them into shipbuilding objects. Nowadays, the whole development comes out of China. I think that is partly driven by a strong political will from the central and the local governments, but also from the will of the people out of China. I have seen here many talented people developing over the last years, and that's one of the key issues why China is nowadays so successful.
Thank you, Arnd, and thank you, panel. A lot to take away from that. I think in my short time back here in China, I would have to agree with culture. Really, the focused culture really drives a lot of the positive energy that we see in shipping here today. I feel that energy in places like Athens, in places like Cyprus, and then exponentially here in Shanghai in China. So we're moving towards the end of the panel. I think we've got time at least for one more question. And this one, Stephen, sorry, like a similar theme. Maybe not your cup of tea, but we'll take it. My final question to wrap up our discussion was if you were to get $1 million plus US per ship to spend next year, where would you apply the same? Would it be on hull, propeller retrofits, or would it be on digital optimization tools? And Arnd, I'll put that to you.
Now you pointing the arrow at my engineer's heart. So $1 million per vessel would be a huge investment and gives you great benefit. So actually what we already did is the digital integration. So I can move away from that part and focus on the actual hardware. So I would definitely invest the money into propulsion efficiency improvements like propeller replacements, adjustment of steel structures of the bow section in the vessels, propulsion assistance systems, or even wind assistant propulsion systems. That is one of the focus area actually in our company nowadays. We want to put the traditional sail back on board of the vessel to drive our vessels more efficiently with less fuel consumption. So definitely, I would take the money and would invest it into hardware.
All right. Excellent. Great answer. Great answer. Bernard?
Again, there's a doable and desirable. So what has been said by Arnd is doable, and we can easily justify for a budget for management, right? Yes. So this 1 million that we have is for the desirable. And in that context, I will retrofit electric motors to supplement the aux engines on the vessel. Most of the fuel burn is attributed to the energy required to overcome inertial, Motors are extremely efficient for stop-start motions. We've seen that in electric vehicles. And research has shown the possibility to trim over 30% of fuel usage in such scenarios. Before coming here, I was running a towage company, or working in a towage company. And we have actually built our first full electric tugboat. So the torque is important. Also, electrification cost for batteries, motors, and energy pipelines, which is all national infrastructure, have come down substantially given the economies of scale for both land and sea use, which makes this investment a cost-effective use of funds for recurring impact across all consumption scenarios on land and at sea. Most importantly, the coherent use of electricity drives commonality for global and national energy infrastructure, avoiding fragmentation caused by the varied fuels being introduced today. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernard. Stephen, as always, I'll give you another shot.
Well, yeah, as you said, it's not my my tea, but actually, unfortunately, I'm in this panel, so I will try to say something about this. Logically, as a fund manager, if you give me $1 million per ship in budget, I would say suppose we have 20 vessels, that means I got $20 million, right? So logically, I will put the $20 million and invest a new fleet rather than put into the ships, to expand my portfolio, to find a new partners or invest a new, existing partners as well. But if existing partner approach me for certain, kind of, budgetary, right? So I would say I will concur with Arnold say, we will always think about digitalization, put the digitalization in the first place, and the hardware is software development, and put the hardware in the second place. That's for sure. Also, meanwhile, when we have this digital software, we also need to, spend the money, on training of the seafarers, offshore and onshore, managers, something, to improve their, mastery capability of this kind of, new technology in the future. So, $1 million is not regarded as a cost, regarded as kind of investment. We always invest in the future. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephen. So we're just about wrapping up today, and I'd like to thank the panel for their comments, for their information, and for their insights. And if you have me, I would challenge you to one more question, right? A little bit unscripted. I'm coming from ABS, Classification Society, and we've heard a lot about the doable, and I would ask the panel, what would you recommend to the regulators, to the class societies? What do you need from us? What actions do you want to see to help make the doable more doable? And maybe Bernard, put you on the spot with that one.
ABS is an innovation hub in Singapore, very closely connected to the government, to the community, and so on. I think one of the key challenges that we have typically kind of ignored in a way is common infrastructure across the globe. We have policies, we have technologies, we have trade coming along, and playing catch up will be the government. And how many governments today have the funds and the political will to drive change for clean energy, set up infrastructure? So before we go into the technologies, we need to talk about the regulations from the government. But the regulations relates to the infrastructure. And maybe that's a conversation that you guys can bring it forward as well.
Very interesting, Bernd. I think infrastructure is definitely key. Arnd?
So I think you as Classification Society should give more insights to the decision makers outside the industry, which drives us, excuse my French, a little bit nuts. They are not giving us the framework to do the achievable. They want to see something, from my personal point of view, to do something unrealistic. And what we actually need from all stakeholders in the industry is more knowledge transfer into the political decision makers to really achieve something which we can achieve.
Thank you, Arnd. I think, well heard, well heard. And Stephen, last but not least.
Well, yeah, I think it's very complicated, but basically collaborative efforts is needed, from different stakeholders in this in its pursuing of new technology and how to apply, how to make it realistic. So the government, the business, and the society, the people, the educational, also academic, all needs a collective efforts is needed. But since we are in a business, I would say business should drive the entire effort. I think I agree with Bernd saying, the regulations are, always lag behind. So, but the businessman should do something. We should, I don't think the government is leading us, but we need to drive the government to do something, So I would say let business have a more say in its, pursuit. Anyway.
Thank you, Stephen. And that takes us to our time limit. And with that, I'd like to just, first of all, thank the panel for their great insights, their honest feedback, and just a good conversation. So thank you very much. And I hope to the floor and the people here at Capital Link, I hope you enjoyed our panel. I hope that you can walk away from here with some functional things that you can apply to the doable. And I hope that you have a refocus on operational efficiencies and what can be done today. Thank you very much.